Hey everybody! Really excited today to share with you some of the cool things that we've been working on with OpenShift serverless functions. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I normally do. Typically when I do a demo, I will start from scratch and build something up to show you, a little bit of functionality and how to do it. In this case, this is a bit of a bigger demo that has lots of moving parts. So I wanted to show you actually the whole thing, and then we'll work backwards. I'll show you kind of how it works, and we'll dig into the code a little bit. So let's just dive right in. So as you can see here, I've got a Telegram client. I'm chatting with a bot, and this bot is capable of taking an image and analyzing it, and if there's a face, one or more faces on it, it'll respond with some information about that face. It'll say, it'll make a guess at, well, first of all, it'll say how many faces it found. It found one face, and it will make a guess at the age and apply some attributes, or make some guesses about various emotional attributes. So in this case, we see that this woman has she's very happy. She's got a happiness score of 1. Not much else going on there. And we can, add another image here. I love this image. This is a great one. It will go off and analyze this image and give us some information back. It's taking a little time, because as you can see here, a bunch of stuff is happening. Things are spinning up. This is Knative serverless, Knative serving, which is serverless, and so these pods have spun down because there's actually no traffic on it unless I'm doing this demo. But as you can see, they've all spun up now. We've got a response back. It thinks that this guy's around 72 years old, and lots of complexity here in his face, a bunch of different emotions, but primarily happiness. And let's do one more. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, this is interesting. So this is a bunch of different faces, and it'll come back pretty quickly now that all of these functions are already up and running, and it gives us a pretty good analysis of all of these different faces. Most of these people tend to appear pretty happy. So that's kind of cool. How does all that work? So on this side of the screen, you can see the developer console for OpenShift. We're looking at the topology view. I've got a few different things here, but let's start over here on the left-hand side. I've got a Camel Telegram event source. And this is actually the bot itself. This is the thing that communicates with the Telegram API to receive these messages with the image information. And it takes that message metadata from Telegram and converts all that into a CNCF cloud event. And it sends that cloud event off to the default Knative event broker. And the Knative event broker, we haven't done anything here other than add some subscribers to the broker. That's all these guys, which you can see are now spinning down. These are all my functions. So let's take a look at what these functions are doing. We've got 3 of them. The first thing we have is the receiver, and the receiver is the thing that receives that original message that's coming from the Camel Telegram event source. We can see it's listening for events, cloud events of type Telegram message. And then we have the processor, and the processor is responsible for events of type image received. Because what the receiver will do will take this Telegram message metadata and construct a URL that can be processed by the processor and send that out as an image received event. And then finally we have the responder event, and it listens for function output, which is the type of event that the processor emits. Once the processor has finished doing its work, which is calling out to the Microsoft Faces API to do the actual AI analysis, the processor sends its results, and the responder takes those results and actually communicates with the Telegram bot here and sends this back. So those are all the different moving pieces. Let's see how those things look. So if we go over here to my IDE, let's start with actually let's close all this up so we can see it all together here. So you can actually, this is all up on GitHub. So if you want to play around with this, if you've got a cluster up and running with OpenShift Serverless on it, you can do this from the comfort of your own home because this is on GitHub. Okay, so we've got the receiver. The receiver is a function that is written in Go. And we have a file called handle, and that's the meat of the function, really. Handle receives a cloud event, you can see here, and does a bunch of error checking, makes sure it receives a Telegram message, and then you can see that it receives, that it creates a URL, essentially, in order to download the image. But it's not really interested in the image. It was just interested in that message and then constructing this URL, creating a cloud event, setting the source to function receiver and the type to image received. And then it responds with that cloud event which the Knative event broker then takes and sends along to any other processes or any other functions that may be interested in events of type image received or events coming from the source function receiver. So we actually do have something that's interested in events of type image received, and that is the processor. The processor's job is to take an image that's been received and send that information up to the Microsoft Faces API so that it can be analyzed. Let's take a quick look at that. So here's our function. The way this is written in Java. And with Quarkus, it's a funky function using the func annotation. And you can see that it gets a cloud event, but also it just takes the data. This is the way Quarkus works. It just takes the data from the event and constructs an object and passes that in as a parameter to your function as well. And you can see here where it's calling the Microsoft Faces API. And it creates an object called output, an array of objects called output, and each one of those has a little bit of information. We can actually see what the output object looks like here. It's just a little Pojo. It has the chat ID, the age of the person in the image that was analyzed, and the emotion, which is a set of emotions. So that's the processor, and remember the processor funky or Knative, sorry, Quarkus. Its events that it returns are called the function.processed event type. We've got something listening for that, and that is our responder, and that thing is a Node.js function. Pretty straightforward. You can see that it is an asynchronous function. So because it's not actually emitting any more events, the broker doesn't need to wait for a response really from it. So it returns immediately with no content, HTTP 204 no content. The broker can go about its business, and then it sends basically uses the Telegram API to respond to the chat with the formatted response. So yeah, so that's it. That's it in a nutshell. There's a lot going on here, a lot to unpack. I wanted to try and keep this really short and quick, show you the functionality, show you the possibilities, and please contact me if you want to play around with this or have any further questions. All right, thanks.